Good afternoon, everybody. Get started in just a minute here. Hope you're all having a good day, good afternoon. Maybe you're joining me from your lunch break. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to spend some time with me. I think we're going to be learning a lot today, and you guys should be getting a lot out of this. I'm excited. Okay, I'm going to share my slides. Okay, so it is a couple of minutes after 12:30. I'm sure some people will continue trickling in. Looks like we got a decent group in here so far. So without further ado, I will sort of jump right into it. Welcome again. My name is Jason Neufeld. I am the founding partner of Elder Needs Law. We have 4 offices. I operate out of our Aventura and Plantation offices. My partner, Amy Dow, who you see in the lower left-hand corner, picture of her there, she operates out of our Jupiter and Boca Raton offices. But we are truly a statewide firm in terms of, with the magic of Zoom and email, we are regularly helping clients throughout the state for Medicaid planning, estate planning, probate, the whole litany of elder law matters. So whether you're near or far, we can be of assistance. While I'm talking about who else is with us in our firm, when you call us and you start working with us, you don't just get me or Amy or Jodi is our other attorney. You get a whole team of folks working for you. So Amy's my partner. Jodi Strauss is our associate attorney, and Carrie Felice, we just started working with us a couple months ago. She is a very well-respected and experienced real estate and probate attorney and helps make us a more well-rounded elder law firm. I spend the majority of my time helping people protect their assets and get qualified for Medicaid, which is, of course, the subject of today's video. All right. I'll just spend a minute talking about myself. I am born and raised in North Miami Beach. I left Florida very briefly to go to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, and came right back down where I got my JD MBA from the University of Miami. In law school, I met my lovely wife, Marla. Marla is holding Ethan, and I am holding Asher. They are twins. They're currently 8 years old. In that picture, they're probably about 5. I probably should update that picture, but that's our little family. I try to be involved in the community. I'm a former president and current board member for the North Dade Bar Association. I'm on the Miami-Dade County Mayor's Elder Issues Committee for the Consortium for a Healthier Miami-Dade County. I'm a member of Leadership Broward. I'm a board of directors of the Academy of Florida Elder Law Attorneys, where I teach other attorneys how to do this stuff. And I'm also on the board of the North Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. So I try to stay involved and busy in the community when I'm not practicing law. All right. So one of the first things I want to get into is, what is an elder law attorney? Because it's sometimes can be a confusing term, because elder law really isn't just one thing. Elder law really is an umbrella term that means multiple different things, a lot of which you're probably already familiar with, right? And we can help with. If there's, for example, estate planning, right? Your wills, your trusts, your powers of attorney, making sure we plan for who can make decisions if you lose capacity and who gets your stuff after you pass away. And in fact, I have some handouts for you guys, and if you stick with me, you'll get all the material, but I wanted to throw it out there that we don't want to make it clear, we don't just do Medicaid planning. If you need help with estate planning, we can help with that as well. And what I did is I just put up there for you guys, hopefully you're seeing it, is a PDF of a booklet that I think you'll find helpful. It's Florida Estate Planning Concepts in Plain English. So we have the estate planning, we have things like probate, right? How do we make sure that people get your stuff after you pass away, that we can also help out with? Those are some of the more commonly well-known areas of elder law. We also deal with some of the less well-known or areas of law where there's just not as much information and there's a lot more confusion, specifically Medicaid planning and special needs planning, which we do quite a bit of as well. So since we're talking about Medicaid planning, I also want to start that leads us right into, well, what is Medicaid planning? And the theory behind it is long-term care takes multiple forms. Sometimes it's home health care, sometimes it's long-term care in an assisted living facility setting or a skilled nursing facility or long-term care setting. And this stuff is expensive. And the big question that we seek to provide a solution to is how are we going to pay for these things? And there really are 5 ways to pay for long-term care. Of course, cash is always going to be king. If you've got, millions of dollars in the bank, Medicaid planning may not be for you. Estate planning might be more what you are in need of that we're happy to help out with, because if you can privately pay for this stuff, then you're good to go. Medicare, a lot of people don't realize this, has a very limited long-term care benefit. I get a lot of people coming to me saying, Jason, I have the best Medicare supplement that money can buy, so I know that I am well taken care of. And I have to be the bearer of bad news to say, well, actually, Medicare is a very limited long-term care benefit. It'll pay for things like speech therapy and physical therapy in the home, but it's not going to pay for things like helping you shower and feed yourself and cooking and cleaning and going to the bathroom and things like that. For that, Medicare doesn't cover very much. They're not going to help pay for an assisted living facility, and they will pay for a nursing home, but only up to 100 days. And only the first 20 are they covered 100%, even days 21 through 100. The latter 80 days, Medicare is gonna pay for some of it, and you're gonna pay a substantial daily copay. Sometimes if you have a good Medicare supplement, they'll cover that copay in part or in its entirety, but no matter what, you can have the best Medicare supplement that's out there. After 100 days, Medicare is not paying for that nursing home. If you are a veteran, or if you were married to a veteran, the VA has some really valuable, what they call improved pension benefits that you can qualify for. That's really good if you need care at home or in an ALF, because it'll put somewhere between $1,200 and $2,200 in your pocket, which is really nice, helps you pay for a lot of extra stuff. But if you're in a nursing home setting where, the bills, the average bill in Florida is $9,700, but in South Florida, where I primarily practice out of, it's more like a $11,000 to $14,000 per month. So an extra couple $1,000 doesn't really, it's of course always helpful, but not going to do the job. Long-term care insurance is a wonderful option if you had the forethought to get it. And I always tell, when I'm typically dealing with the adult children of my clients, and I'm looking at them going, hey, listen, Medicaid's great, and Medicaid pays for a lot, and that's what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today. But a long-term care insurance is just as good as cash. Unfortunately, most people don't qualify for it. Most people find it prohibitively expensive. And so the statistics say that less than 10% of people, or about 10% of people, may have a long-term care insurance policy. Then, of course, we got Medicaid. And that's, of course, what we're talking about today. And Medicaid, again, not one thing. Medicaid is another umbrella term. Medicaid is a bunch of different programs. In Florida, we have about 15 different flavors of Medicaid, different Medicaid programs that you might be interested in. For our purposes, there's really 3 primary programs that we deal with, because they're more in a long-term care, more catered toward an elderly population. But the 2 main programs that we deal with are what's called means tested, meaning they care about what you have in the bank. They care what assets you have. They care about what your income is. And most people come to me because they don't yet qualify for these Medicaid long-term care programs. And that's why people come to me. And they go, listen, Jason, I may not be a Rockefeller, but I got more than $2,000 in the bank, and maybe I even make more than $2,523 per month in income. So am I too rich to qualify for Medicaid? And the answer is initially yes, but after we're done with you, you will be qualified for Medicaid. I can get anybody qualified for Medicaid. And so I would say my standard client may or may not own their home, and on top of that, they'll have between $25,000 to about $900,000 worth of other assets on top of their home. That's our sweet spot where the strategies make sense, right? If you've got really no money, you naturally, or maybe even naturally qualify for this program. If you have over a couple $1 million, you're well positioned to privately pay. But it's for, I tell people this is really asset protection for the middle class, the working class, even the upper middle class, because those are the people who are in the short end of it. So these are what Medicaid planning really is we're utilizing state and federal law to our clients' advantage. Some people come to me, and when I tell them that we can get them onto Medicaid, they go, I feel like I'm hiding something from the government, and I don't want to do that. And I always tell people, listen, I go, we don't hide anything from anyone. I go, I have this really nice license to practice law. I would never do anything to jeopardize that. And I tell people, not only are we not hiding anything, but I tell Medicaid exactly what it is that I did with my clients' assets, and then I explain to them why, under state and federal law, they still have to give my clients access to these benefits. So, as I alluded to before, there's really there's 15 Medicaid programs about in Florida. These three are really the ones that I'm dealing with 99% of the time. The institutional care program is the first one. That is for folks who are in a nursing home or rehab facility. That is the highest level of care. Not everyone qualifies for a nursing home. Not everyone wants to be in a nursing home. But those are very, very expensive. Again, average price in the state is $9,700. I see more like $11,000 to $13,000 is what I see is a fairly typical monthly bill. So, again, that's why I tell people, even folks who have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they think they've saved enough, what they really will find is that money goes very, very quickly if we don't plan. The other program that's very, very common that I help people obtain is what's called the Medicaid waiver program. It's also referred to as home and community-based services Medicaid. And this is for folks who are in an assisted living facility, which is a lower level of care than a nursing home, or who are at home and want to receive care in the home, right? Get home health aides so they can stay in home for as long as possible. QMB is another program that I work with. It's becoming a larger part of my practice. It doesn't have a long-term care benefit, but what it does have is essentially the QMB stands for Qualified Medicare Beneficiary. And for folks who are already on Medicare, and QMB kind of becomes like the best Medicare supplement available. So this is really popular for my clients who may have a cancer diagnosis or they're diabetic. They have really expensive medications, and we can get all that covered. So again, not long-term care, but folks who have significant medical issues and finding their medical expenses and prescription expenses to be overwhelming, QMB is a wonderful program to help get nearly all of that stuff covered. All right, so like I said, Medicaid is a means-tested program. You have to pass an income test and an asset test. The income test looks at all sources of my client's income. They're looking at your Social Security, they're looking at your pension, they're looking at 401k or IRA distributions, rental property income, right? However you are receiving income, they're adding all of that together, and if that number exceeds $2,523, then you do not naturally qualify for Medicaid, but that's okay. That's why you come to me, because we have at our device, for our use, a device known as a qualified income trust. That is a special type of trust that we draw up for you guys, and then we have to pick a trustee. Typically, it's a spouse or the adult child of my client, but it can be anybody other than my client. My client cannot be their own trustee, but anybody else. And they would take this trust and they bring it to a bank, and they'd say they want to open up a qualified income trust account, and I help walk them through that process. And what happens is every month you will deposit from the clients wherever they receive their income, anything above $25.23, right? So if their monthly income is $2,623, you're going to deposit $100 into this qualified income trust account every month. Now, you do not lose that money. You just kind of are accessing it in a circuitous manner. What I mean by that is, so $100 goes into this qualified income trust account. Now the trustee can take the money right out and use it to pay for your health and wellness expenses. So again, you don't lose access to the money that goes into the income trust. The only drawback, which I think is pretty minor, is that if there is money left in that trust when my client passes away, it will likely all go back to Medicaid. But remember, I call that a minor inconvenience, because this is not the type of trust where money should be accumulating. This is the type of trust where money goes in, and then in the same month, it should be coming right back out to go pay for the things that my client needs to live their life and be healthy and well taken care of. So this trust should be essentially zeroing out at the end of every month. And if they happen to pass away and there's a couple $100 left in there, yes, it'll go back to the government, and that's a pretty small price to pay for all the value that you're going to be getting from the Medicaid program. Then, of course, we have the asset test. The asset test is you cannot have more than what Medicaid considers to be $2,000 in what they call a countable asset. Luckily, not all assets are countable. What I mean by that is there are certain assets that are not going to be credited against you when determining whether or not you meet Medicaid eligibility criteria. So, for example, your homestead, you're allowed to have a primary residence, even if you don't live there anymore, even if you're in a nursing home or in an assisted living facility. And of course, certainly if you want to receive care at home, if you have a homestead with less than $636,000 or up to $636,000 in equity in the home, then you are fine. So if the house is worth $600,000, you're fine. If your house is worth $700,000, but you have a $100,000 mortgage, that means you only have $600,000 in equity, and you're still fine. If you have a $700,000 house and no mortgage, then sometimes what we have to do is actually take out a small mortgage to draw that equity down and protect the proceeds in another manner. Very rarely is that an issue, but when it comes, we probably deal with that once or twice a year, and not a big deal. We also walk you through how to do all that. You're allowed to have one car of any value. You can have a second car if it is over 7 years old and not deemed a collectible, right? You can have a primary car and a 56, 67 Chevy, right? They're going to say that is an asset that you could sell. But if you have your 2002 Honda Civic, they're not going to count that. If that's your second car, they're not going to count that against you, even if the Lexus is your first car. You can prepay for your funeral plannings, right? So some people want to make sure that that's not a burden to their heirs, and they take out either a life insurance policy or they go direct to the funeral home and they say, listen, I want to prepay for my tombstone and my service and the memorial and all that stuff, and that can get quite expensive. We've seen funerals between $20,000 and $40,000. You can do that, and certainly if you don't want a funeral that is that involved and you just want to prepay for $1,200 for the cremation expense and the urn, you can prepay for that as well. Also, a personal property like the paintings that are on your walls, unless you got a Matisse or a Picasso, they're not caring about that. Your silverware, your glassware, your plates and pots and pans are not looking at all that. Your diamond engagement ring, they're not counting that either. Your personal property is exempt as well. I tell people you can't be a pig about it, or some people go, how about I just go buy, I've got an extra $100,000. Why don't I just go buy a multi-carat diamond set of diamonds and just call it personal property? And I go, no, that's gonna draw unnecessary attention to yourself and likely get you in trouble. Most life insurance, in fact, is a countable asset, but if you have, for example, term life insurance that does not have cash value, or if you have sometimes you see these small policies that are worth less than $2,500, that's not an asset. But generally speaking, if you have whole life or universal life where there is this cash value component, it will be an asset, and we have ways of dealing with that as well. Income producing property, not an asset. So you can have a second home as long as it's being rented out, then Medicaid will not, they won't count the asset. Now they will count the income. That might be more income we have to put in that income trust I was telling you about one slide ago, but the asset itself will not be deemed countable. And Medicaid's position, the reason why that is because they go, listen, if you have more money to put towards your care, that is less that we will need to put towards it. And so they see it as a win for them. There are also certain annuities and special needs trusts that are not considered to be assets, but most annuities are an asset. Anything in a revocable trust is an asset as well, often the cause of a lot of disappointment. Nearly all these assets are countable, right? Any money in the bank, any money in a brokerage account, if you've got a vacation home that's sitting there vacant, most of these annuities, most life insurance policies are going to be countable assets. The other item that we try to take advantage of when we have a married couple, if only one of them needs Medicaid, is the well spouse, the healthier spouse, is allowed to have a little over $137,000 in their name, and it won't be counted as an asset against their sick counterpart. Okay. So what do we do, right? So what my clients come to me, they've got significant assets, more than $2,000, well more than $2,000, right between 30 grand in the bank and 900 grand in the bank, and they don't want to lose all of it to Medicaid. What they are doing is they're coming to us, and I call it the art of the spend down. And the spend down is not just spending your money, right? Which you can do. Part of the plan might be, if we want to receive care at home, we're probably making some safety modifications to the house, right? We might even be upgrading the house in general. Maybe we're upgrading the vehicle so it's wheelchair accessible. Maybe we're buying one of these $10,000 walk-in bathtubs, right? You are allowed to spend money on anything that's going to make the eventual Medicaid applicant happy within. You could do it the day before we submit an application for Medicaid. Spending money is never the problem, but typically we also don't want people to be wasteful. We don't want you spending money just for the sake of spending money. So what they're coming to us because we have available to us a suite of strategies that allow us to legally and ethically get money out of our clients' names, get countable assets, and turn them into non-countable assets in a Medicaid compliant manner. Why do we do this? Because more money is always better than less money. If I can slow or eliminate the financial bleeding that comes from that goes towards these long-term care expenses, I know it will let my client lead provide for them a higher quality of life, because Medicaid pays for a lot, but it doesn't pay for everything. And it's nice to have money set aside to pay for the things that will improve the quality of my client's life. And of course, a secondary benefit to that is it makes it more likely that my client will have something to pass on to their heirs, as opposed to it all going out to pay for these long-term care expenses. So how do we do that, right? Well, some of the more frequently used strategies that we use are on this page. Usually we're talking about special needs trust, something called a personal services contract. That's where we can pay a caregiver in advance. Like if you are the adult child of someone who is coming to me for Medicaid planning, and you are, for example, you're helping mom or dad pay their bills, you're visiting them, you're managing their home care folks, right? That's stuff that you're doing as a good son or daughter, not because you intend to get paid for it, but we can take advantage of the fact that the law does not require you to do these things for free. And so here's some of the other, we don't really have time to get into all of these strategies in great detail because we'd be here all day doing that, but these are some of the more commonly used Medicaid planning strategies, where we take people, they come to us starting with this big chunk of money, and we're putting together a plan tailor-made to our clients' needs or wants based on their feedback. Because I will tell you this, I do not have a magic wand. I mean, there's not one solution that is going to be the best for everybody. Everything that I do has pros and cons, and that's why we're typically not picking one of these strategies. We're typically utilizing a combination of these strategies, because we're going to be, again, based on your individual circumstances, we're going to be putting together the strategies that make the most sense for you, that gives you the most bang for your buck and minimizes the potential drawbacks. What will Medicaid pay for? Great question. Glad you asked. So it's not just these long-term care expenses. So first of all, my clients will see extra money in their pocket, or nearly all of them will, because right now, if you are on Social Security and you're receiving Medicare, your Medicare Part A is paid for if you have paid into the system. Medicare Part B, there is a premium. And that premium is automatically deducted from your Social Security check. Right now, the lowest premium is about $170. Some people pay higher depending on their income bracket, but most of my clients have a $170 Part B copay that's automatically deducted from their bank account, or their Social Security rather, and this will add that back in. So they will see their checks grow. They'll see what's deposited in their bank account grow. This can also take over for your Medicare Advantage plan or your Medicare supplement. Now, you don't have to, meaning if you love the Medicare Advantage plan that you're on, or the Medicare supplement that you're on, you can keep it. But some people opt to leave those plans because Medicaid, once they're on the program, is going to cover nearly all of that stuff. Now, some people go, I have Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith is a specialist. He doesn't want to take Medicaid. I don't want to rock the boat. I go, okay, that's fine. No problem. You can continue to do that. But at the very least, you can get rid of your prescription drug plan, because Medicaid will pay for those. And any Medicare approved drug, you will either pay a $0 or a $10 copay. So that's pretty good. If you are at home, Medicaid will pay for between, on average, sometimes it's a little bit lower, sometimes it's much higher, but on average, I see Medicaid approving between 15 and 40 hours a week of home health care. That can either be through a Medicaid approved agency, right? When you join Medicaid, you will pick a plan, like a Humana or a Sunshine Health or Simply Health, right? They have all these kind of marquee names. You pick a plan that contracts with that plan. You pick a home care agency that contracts with that plan. Medicaid will pay them directly. Or there's what's known as the PDO option. It stands for the participant directed option, where Medicaid, instead of paying an agency, can pay someone you choose. That could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be a neighbor. It can pay any individual as long as they are able to legally work in the United States and can pass a level 2 background check. Medicaid can actually pay the home caregiver of your choosing directly. If you're in an assisted living facility, Medicaid will typically pay between $14 and $1,500, maybe even closer to $1,600 this year, toward an ALF bill. Now, the difference is not every assisted living facility accepts Medicaid. Most of them do, and there are plenty of fine facilities that do, because from the facility's perspective, it's just another source of money, and the government pays on time every month. But there are some super high-end facilities that don't want to accept Medicaid, and they don't have to. So if you're in an assisted living facility or planning to go to an assisted living facility, you want to ask them, even if you're privately paying now, do you accept Medicaid if we were to run out of money, or if I were to work with Jason and Elder Needs Law to protect my money, right? However, with a nursing home, Medicaid essentially pays for all of it. And every single nursing home or skilled nursing facility in the state of Florida must accept Medicaid. If they accept Medicare, it's by virtue of their licensing requirements. ALFs don't have the same licensing requirements, but nursing homes must accept Medicaid if they want to be in business. So with those facilities costing $9,000 to $14,000 a month, the deal is Medicaid will expect our client to contribute their income to the facility. They get to keep $130 for what they call a personal needs allowance, and then Medicaid pays the difference, whatever that might be, in full. That's the cost, of course, for a semi-private room. If you want a private room, Medicaid does not cover that, and that's why sometimes it's good to have this money set aside. It can pay for things like that. Okay. Medicaid has these. What happens is, again, Medicaid, when you're on Medicaid, you're not just on Medicaid, you pick a plan. And these Humana plans or Sunshine Health plans have these different benefits. Some of them will pay for your cell phone. Some of them will pay for home accessibility adaptations, right? They'll install the home rails and things like that. So these different plans have these different benefits that they cover, and we go over that more with you during a consultation. Other thing you need to be aware of is if you're in a nursing home setting, there is no wait list. If you are in an assisted living or home setting, there is a wait list. Part of our job, if we're hired to do so, is to minimize the amount of time you spend waiting, because we know how the system works and we know how to kind of push the process along. We know the average amount of time people spend waiting without hiring a professional is between 11 and 13 months. And we know we typically get people off between 2 and 5 months. So we know that we're doing a good job helping people out on that end. And again, Medicaid will also pay for, this is again for my QMB clients who just have significantly high, they have high prescription costs, and medical costs. Medicaid covers almost all of that. So it's really, really nice for folks who need that. And QMB does not have a wait list. Also, so for my clients who need long-term care, but also have significant healthcare expenses now, what we might do is apply for QMB, because there's no wait list for that program, to get them all these extra benefits while they're waiting to get off the Medicaid waiver program wait list, which is what pays for that additional long-term care. So again, just depends on what my clients need or want at the time. Oh, you know what I keep forgetting to do? I am supposed to add this stuff. So what you see on your, what I just did is I put up what we're offering today, and I'm going to put this up a few times. It should have just popped up on your screen as a complimentary mini strategy session. It lasts for typically about 15 minutes. To really get into the weeds, we need to go through a full consultation. That is not free, but what I'll tell you what we do is we give away all the answers in terms of during our full paid consultation, we are telling you about all the different options and what exactly we would do. What I have found that some of my colleagues do is they basically say, pay me money first, and then we will give you the answers. We take the opposite approach. Obviously, I like to educate a lot, and I'm educating my clients during our full consultations. But the mini strategy session is just to give you a flavor of what we can do for you, make sure that it makes sense for us to work together before you book that big consultation. But I think you'll be impressed with the level of education we provide to you during both the complimentary mini strategy session and the full paid consultation. So you can take a look at that, and it's going to take you to a session to our website where you can enter in your contact information. That lets us know you want us to reach out to you, and happy to do that. So, okay, I want to talk about the look back period, because a lot of people know that 5 years is an important number in the world of Medicaid, but they don't know exactly why. Let me tell you what the myth is. This is what is false. What is false is I can't do anything if I don't have 5 years to plan. That is 100% not true. Let me tell you what the 5-year look back period refers to. What they don't want people doing is gifting assets away within 5 years. For example, if you have $200,000 in your bank account and you know you can only have $2,000 in order to qualify for Medicaid, some people say, well, what I'll do is I'm going to gift my children, because I want them to have it anyway. I know they'll use it to take care of me. I'm going to gift them $198,000 out of my $200,000 so that I can show Medicaid I only have $2,000. Well, if you do that within 5 years of applying for Medicaid, Medicaid will penalize you. Okay, so that's what the 5-year look back period refers to. It also, by the way, refers to, some people tell me, Jason, don't worry, I have never gifted more than the IRS allowed amount. Last year was $15,000. This year, the IRS says you can give $16,000 per year without having to file a gift tax return. They go, don't worry, the IRS said it was okay, so I just did that, and I have to be the bearer of bad news. We said, listen, just because the IRS says it's okay doesn't mean Medicaid agrees with that. So all of that stuff counts as gifts as well. Okay. So that's it. So people come to me typically because they need Medicaid now or in the very near future because they have this immediate long-term care need. We do not have to wait 5 years. Bulk of my clients need Medicaid now. All the strategies that I provide and that we would discuss during a full consultation are designed to specifically not be counted as a gift because of the way state and federal law works. So that's what that's all about. So, however, I will point out that sometimes people come, and this is where kind of our estate planning practice and Medicaid planning practice merge. They come to me because they don't have an immediate need for long-term care, but they know it's coming, right? They have a family history of Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia, and they know, they've seen a relative go through this, and they know that they want to protect their assets. Well, then we can take advantage of this 5-year look-back period, and we can utilize what's called an irrevocable trust in order to shield assets, right? This is safer than just giving it to your kids, because if you give the money away, whatever's a threat to their money is a threat to your money, right? If you give $200,000 away to your kids and they get divorced, or they pass away, or they have a creditor or bankruptcy issue, or they got a gambling problem, right? Then that is their money, and any threat to their money is now a threat to your money. An irrevocable trust, it allows you to benefit from it and protect it as well. It's really an asset protection trust. All right. A lot of people are also concerned about Medicaid estate recovery. What is Medicaid estate recovery? Another good example of the combination, the coming together of my estate planning practice and my Medicaid planning practice. So essentially, estate recovery refers to what happens after a Medicaid recipient has passed away. Well, if there is a probate, every judge in the state of Florida is going to require, if you're over the age of 55 when you pass away, every judge in the state of Florida is going to require that your personal representative, that's what we call the executor, the personal representative notifies Medicaid. And Medicaid's going to have their handout. They're going to go, here's what we have spent on Mr. Smith, for Mr. Smith over the course of his life, and we want to get paid back first. So what happens is Medicaid becomes a general creditor, the way Visa might be or FPL might be if you don't pay those bills upon passing. They're just a general creditor. So part of what we do is where the estate planning comes in is we help you avoid the probate. If we can avoid the probate, and we have other ways of utilizing this as well, we can avoid Medicaid ever having their hand out. So we can minimize or eliminate Medicaid asking for money back at the end of the day. We also have, what I call pre-planning versus crisis planning. That's what I call it. Crisis planning is for probably 85% of my clients, those are the ones who go, I have a long-term care need immediately, please help me. Pre-planning is those who have 5 years or more to plan, and that's just what we call those different clients internally. I talked a little bit about this, Medicare savings programs. For folks who are on Medicare, there are different Medicaid programs available that will pay for Medicare Part B premiums. They'll pay for co-pays. They'll pay for prescription drugs. QMB, incidentally, there is a law that says any doctor who accepts Medicare may not turn you away because you have QMB. That's why I tell people QMB is like having the best Medicare supplement available, because your doctor cannot refuse to be paid by Medicaid through the QMB program if they also accept Medicare. Another significant interaction between estate planning and Medicaid planning, I tell people that of all the fancy planning that I do, a well-drafted, durable power of attorney is perhaps the most important, because a lot of people, unfortunately, come to me with these forms that they downloaded off the internet, and they think that they're going to be fine because they can look quite professional and very, very nice, but there is no such thing as a one-stop shop power of attorney. There's no good template form out there, because the way the law exists now, and this has been since 2011. Before 2011, you could essentially say, I give my agent under the power of attorney the ability to do everything for me, so help me God, and that was kind of essentially all you needed to put there, and then there were no restrictions. Well, the law changed in 2011 to now say that the power of attorney has to be very specific, meaning if it's not listed there, the agent cannot do it. And so a lot of the more complicated Medicaid planning strategies that we need to implement are not contemplated in these template form powers of attorney. Also, if it's not properly drafted, if it's not initialed properly, also potential problems. So this is a reason, really, we started out as purely a Medicaid planning law firm, and we realized about 7 years ago that we needed to offer estate planning services as well, because we are contemplating things that even other lawyers aren't contemplating. So, so that's for your thought and consideration. So yeah, we're coming to the end. I'm going to give you guys now another handout that I would love for you guys to download, and this is called, this is a free booklet. You can download it now. It should be on your screen. It's Medicaid Planning and Common Medicaid Asset Protection Mistakes. I think you'll find it very practical and useful. I also have a book. It is for sale. I think it's $14 or $15 on Amazon. Again, if you're not ready to schedule a full consultation, the book I think is a really good proxy for that, because it goes through these Medicaid planning strategies in, I think, significant detail. And again, my goal is to just, there's a lot of bad information out there. And so my goal in writing this book is to dispel a lot of the bad myths out there and really empower you, whether you're working with, and I hope you do work with me if you're in Florida, but even if you don't, this book will make you a more educated consumer. So whichever attorney you're working with, you can at least ask the more intelligent questions and get more out of your meeting. The book is called How to Get Medicaid to Pay for Some or All of Your Long-Term Care Expenses Without Having to Wait 5 years, without having to sell your house, without having to go broke first. And I wrote it for non-attorneys. And other than that, we are about done. This is our contact information. Again, we help people remotely throughout the state of Florida, but I operate out of our South Florida offices in Miami-Dade and Broward. My partner, Amy, operates out of our Jupiter and Boca Raton offices. You have no, you might deal with her. You can deal with her in South Miami or deal with me up in Jupiter. It's really not a big deal, but for meetings in person, that's what we're covering. But again, you get a really experienced team of attorneys and support staff working for you to make this difficult process as easy as possible. I'm going to put another link to our strategy session up there. And also what I'm going to do for you guys is, if you are interested, this presentation is available for download. And I am going to share that with you guys now. So this presentation, basically these slides are in PDF format. And what I did was I highlighted some of the concepts and I hyperlinked them to either videos or articles that I've written. So if you want to dig deeper into these concepts, you're able to do that. And certainly if you are interested in Medicaid planning, estate planning, probate, I have another law firm that specializes in personal injury, and they bring me in whenever there was like a senior citizen related injury, typically in a nursing home or an assisted living facility. The other thing that we have started doing is offering insurance services. I have my life and health insurance license, and the reason is because in the estate planning context, there is no estate planning consultation that should not talk about life insurance. Life insurance is a very important component to planning your estate. On the Medicaid planning side, it's about giving people a more holistic experience, right? We want to make sure that you are well taken care of, and so we can help people find a less expensive or more comprehensive Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage plan. So I encourage you to take advantage of that as well. And now I'm going to look at the chat to see if there are any questions. And I see one from Lonnie. Hi, Lonnie. How you doing? Can you apply? By the way, if you do have questions, put it in the chat. I'm happy to stay longer and answer for another 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is you guys want. I'm happy to answer your questions live. Certainly, you can also schedule a mini consultation. We can talk about what's on your mind at that point as well. Lonnie's question is, can you apply for long-term plans after serious medical issues has have been presented. Well, it certainly makes it more difficult. So what we have found is on the insurance side of things, so first of all, Medicaid, yes, Medicaid doesn't care. Most of our clients have serious issues when they're applying for long-term care Medicaid. So I want to get that right off the table. But if you're talking about private long-term care insurance, what we have found is the straight long-term care policies are unaffordable even to healthy, for many healthy people. And they've certainly become prohibitively expensive when you have someone who's got significant health issues. The way around that is there are, in fact, life insurance products that our clients can qualify for and then include what they call long-term care insurance rider. And essentially what the long-term care insurance rider says is the older you get, the more of your death benefit can you access to pay for long-term care expenses. And there's levels, right? When you turn 75, you may only be able to access 60% of the death benefit. When you're 85, you're probably at 90% of the death benefit. And they have these kind of hybrid life insurance plans. So it's worthwhile to have a conversation with us if you're interested in that. Happy to do that. Lonnie also asks, once you go into Medicaid, can you leave it and go back to Medicare? Great question. I love that you asked that, because when you go on to Medicaid, you do not leave Medicare. You keep Medicare. You're what's called dually enrolled. So most of my clients have Medicare and Medicaid. Now, Medicaid might serve as their Medicare supplement. So they may have original Medicare that covers their Part A and Part B, and they can utilize their Medicaid to pay for co-pays, premiums, prescriptions, and things like that. But you're never losing Medicare. None of my clients give up their Medicare. Now, what might happen is some of my clients are dually enrolled, they're on Medicare and Medicaid, and maybe they improve. Doesn't happen often, but it happens occasionally, especially for my clients who maybe they need to be in a rehab facility for 3 or 4 months, and then if they make significant improvements to the point where they don't need long-term care anymore, then they might be ready to go home. And yes, they can drop their Medicaid if they don't want it, and go back to privately paying for their Medicare supplement. That's okay. And that looks like it is about it for the questions. Anyone else? I'm going to hang out for another couple seconds, but if not, this has been terrific. I hope you guys have learned something. I hope I have demystified some of this for you. You know, my joke is I can get Bill Gates onto Medicaid if he gave me the keys to the kingdom. So there's really no, other than the gifting issue, that's the only, if significant gifts have been made within 5 years, we have to get those gifts returned. And then we have other ways of getting the money back out to those people in a Medicaid compliant manner. But other than that, I can get anyone onto Medicaid, and it is my pleasure to do so. You know, my mind, I say what I do in a nutshell is asset protection for the middle class, right? If you're ultra wealthy, you can privately pay for this stuff. If you're indigent, you're going to naturally qualify. It's everyone in between who gets the short end of the stick, and it's my pleasure and honor to help those folks. So I'll leave you with, if I can assist you or your family anywhere in Florida for their Medicaid long-term care planning needs, just generic estate planning, or certainly if someone's passed away, you need a probate attorney, please keep us in mind. And certainly if we need help separately or in conjunction with insurance services, we're happy to offer that as well. It's been my pleasure, and I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your day. And please schedule a consultation if you would like our assistance with anything that might be on your mind. Have a great day. Thank you all.